is David Razowsky. So,
I'm going to just put his chair up here so I can pour my coffee.
we're having auditions the 23rd and 24th. I can only talk, so actually I can probably talk fast. Now that it's off my chair, I can sit down. Yes, auditions October 23rd, 24th.
I just want to say about that, can I talk about that for a minute? I love the work that is done here, at least. I don't know the work that is done here. Hi, come in.
All the way in.
I feel like the work that is, at least when I'm hired to come in here, not hired, no, hired, I'm going to say it, I said it already, to come in here and work with people, the quality of actor that is here is so, do you agree with this? Is different than other actors in other movies. Do you understand what I mean?
Probably.
I feel like there are people that call themselves improvisers, and there are people that call themselves actors. But I feel like the people that are here, at least when I work with people here, it's a very different, it's a hybrid.
Are you saying they're not as zany and goofy?
I'm saying that they're more grounded and real. At least that's who I work with. You know, or that they're in their best behavior when they're with me. Because I tend to scare people. So I look at that and I go, that's really good. That's really good.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Good. But anyway, I didn't mean to co-opt your announcement.
Oh, no, I'm going to do it again later.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So, do you want to give us just a brief introduction of you and maybe a highlight or two that you really enjoy from your illustrious history?
My name is David Razowsky, and I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm from Chicago. I have been an actor since I was 8, and I've been an actor who improvises since 1983 or 84. I was with the Second City touring company and a resident company at the Second City. I worked with Steve Carell, Steve Colbert, Amy Sedaris, Jeff Garland, Rachel Dratch. I did not work with Tina because she wasn't there at that time. And who else? Chris Farley was an actor that I worked with. And then I went to LA, and then I became the artistic director of Second City Los Angeles. I was there for 10 years. And then I moved from there, and now I tool around the country teaching theatrical improvisation, but actually teaching Buddhism through the costume of theatrical improvisation. So that's really what it's about. So I read a book about 10 years ago called Buddhism Plain and Simple by a Buddhist monk who lives in Minnesota named Steve Hagen. And it changed my life. And it changed the way that I look at things, it changed the way that I connect to improvisation. And because of that, it made it so the classes that I teach are classes in improvisation, but they're also classes in being present with the world and being connected. So
that jumps ahead to like mental question number 4 I had, which was I practice Zen, and I find that performing improv is meditative.
It clearly is, and it clearly is, and what I think that what a lot of people think about improvisation is narrow. It's very narrow. I want to say narrow-minded, but it's not. It's narrow. But it's so much bigger than that, because it has to do with you being present, being in the moment, knowing that this moment is all that matters. What came before this doesn't matter. What is going to happen is none of your business, and it doesn't matter. And all that matters is for you to live in this moment. And it's absolutely about that. And yet there are a lot of improvisational theaters that are teaching, schools that are teaching structure. And I get that, because I think a lot of people want structure, but I don't care about the structure, and I think structure gets in the way. When people say you've got to start a scene with the who, the what, and the where, the exposition, like who are these people, what's their business card, who are they, what's their business card, what's the exact location that they're at, who, where, and what, and what's the activity that they're doing. So it would be doctors performing open heart surgery in a tent. All right, and I go, okay, that's great, but I don't come to theater to see how well you can describe a medical procedure. You know, if I wanted to do that, I would take a class. So the purview of education is not the purview of theater. And there's a great line that a friend of mine, Mark Howard Sutton, said in regards to all of that. And he said, nobody walks away from having seen an improv show and says, they fixed the bike. No one cares, because it's not about that. It's about the behavior. So the moment that you and I get on stage, and this is the way I teach, I'm going to let you talk, I am. When I get, I might not. When I get on stage, I'm going to look at you, and I'm going to take you in this moment. I'm going to look at what you're doing in this moment. I'm going to take you in, and your shape is telling me something in this moment. And that shape is your opening line of dialogue. It's a nonverbal statement in space. And I am not here to talk, that is when I'm improvising. I'm here to respond. Any artist is in response to that which is in front of them. And I'm going to look at you and say, and start in the middle. And the middle is, what are you offering me in this moment? And that's what improv is, and that's what Zen, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know, I've never really studied it, but as far as I know, it's about being in that moment and living in that moment and taking that moment in and just eating up the energy that is that.
So, how do you feel about audience suggestions or prompts?
I don't take them. Because more often than not, I think that well, having worked at the Second City for as long as I did, I did 10 shows over there, and I've directed countless shows over there as well. I feel like 9 times out of 10, we're going to do what we want to do, in spite of whatever it is that you're asking us to do, or suggesting. And I feel like I don't need to prove to you that I'm improvising. I think that what TJ Jagodowski and Dave Pasquesi said at the beginning of their show, and it's, trust us, this is all made up. And it is that. It is in that moment. I think that audiences are smart enough nowadays to know that what they're seeing is improvised. And if they're, and even if I tell you, if you come to the show at Second City, if you come to a Second City show, excuse me, you come to a Second City show, you're going to watch a Second City show, goes, it's an improv, it's improv. And you're going to watch it and go, no, it's not improv. All that shit is written. The first 2 acts are written. It's all written. All that stuff's written. And if you watch the 3rd act, which is improvised, you go, oh my God, that's written too. It's like, no, that's not written. That stuff is improvised. Because we're connecting in this moment. So I don't take suggestions. When I improvise with any of the improv partners that I do, I'll take a chair, and you and I do a show, I'll take a chair and you'll take a chair, and I'll ask somebody in the audience to tell us when to stop moving the chairs, and we'll stop moving the chairs and we'll sit in the chairs. And whatever that looks like, where we are in that moment in those chairs, that's what we are. So if you and I move the chairs and it look like this, if for me this looks like we're at a cafe and I'm ready for the bill. Does it look like that?
Yeah.
Like we had our meal and it's like I'm ready to go.
I'm ready for you to pay.
And so we're going to do that. That's what we're going to do in that moment. But it's not going to be, hi Carl, I'm so glad, we're going to have a suggestion, 2 people say, we're in a paint store. Great, I'm so glad that you bought that paint.
I find it does that. It limits the show, because if it's paint, then everything is about paint.
Right. And so when I start an improv, when I start a scene, it's going to be about the behavior. And at some point, one of us will, something will happen in our heads, in the creative mind that we live in, or in our hearts and our guts, and that's going to say to me, I'm in, like right now, at this point, I feel like we're stuck in a car. Later on, it's going to be later on. So I might just say, you know, can we, like, I cannot believe that we're having this discussion in this car. Boom! It's not, I can't believe we're having this discussion in this car in November. It's Thanksgiving. I'm going to have to go to your aunt's house. I don't like her. I know she has lupus and there's only a certain amount of food that she can eat. And we've got a turkey in the trunk that's still alive, and I've got to kill it, and I'm not supposed to have a gun because I was sentenced to prison. It's like, Jesus Christ, fucking stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Do you have any I know you're not a big fan of this structure, but is there any structure that even just basic stuff like with the chairs, is there any kind of structure that you're fond of?
Aside from that, no, not really. I mean, no.
What's your least favorite structure?
Is that on? Is there a camera?
Yes.
This is a...
You can be...
No, for me, I'm just thinking about how do I put it, because I feel like the structure of the Herald is a great structure. But the one thing that you get from the Herald, and for those of you who don't know, the Herald is a structure that was developed by Del Close and a bunch of other people from the committee. It started over there, blah, blah, blah. But the structure of the Herald is this, follow me if you can. You get a suggestion from the audience. The actors that are on stage will move around and dissect that, that suggestion that you get, and then they'll start a scene. So it's 3 unconnected scenes, followed by a word game, and then those 3 scenes come back, followed by a word game, and then those 3 scenes come back. I think I've kind of encapsulated it for you. And the one thing about when you learn the Herald, for me, the one thing that I really wanted to do when I learned the Herald was finish learning the Herald and never do it again. Because I felt like, I understand it, I get it. It's a way to organize your thoughts, and it's also a way for us to get to connect, to know what connections are. So I'll look at that and I'll go, okay, because that structure just seems to me to be a great starting point. And I mean, I studied with Del Close for a couple of years, and I feel like he would want you, I know he would because we did this, he'd want you to branch off from that, to move on from that. That is not the Bible. It is just a thing. And so I look at that and I go, okay, I find this to be very confining, but I get it and I can do it and I do it well. I haven't done one for a really long time. But that's the structure that I'm looking to go. That's a foundation thing, and for me, I'm past that.
Do you think it's legitimate to say maybe you're going to do a Herald and it starts the first couple scenes, but then it becomes something else and you abandon the structure?
I think it's really important that if you're going to say you're going to do a Herald, to do a Herald. To do the 3 scenes game, 3 scenes game, 3 scenes. I think, because for the most part, anybody in the audience, come on Mike, anybody in the audience watching that's going to go, I don't give a fuck what I'm watching. Is it entertaining? Because I don't understand what it is. And we don't hand something out to the audience saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a Herald. And if you look, section 1 is going to be Hannah and section 2 is going to be, like, nobody gives a damn. No one cares. But if I'm going to do a Herald, and we're all agreeing to do a Herald, it's important because the way that we start that thing out, if we're all in agreement with what the Herald is going to do, if we're all in agreement that we're doing a Herald, then there's a structure that we're living in. And I'm going to do that. I won't do that all the time. And there's a lot of groups that have been doing that for 10 and 15 years. I'm like, oh, well, God bless, man. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do, what I love doing is going to different cities, going to different cities, teaching, and I usually do the chairs thing with somebody. But it can be, I'll do that with anybody. I've been doing this for so long that I believe I can play with anybody. I can do a 45-minute show with anybody. And that's a long time. And that could really be a nightmare for 45 minutes. But you know, if I don't enjoy doing it for 45 minutes, it's only 45 minutes of my life. And if I do enjoy doing it, then it's 45 minutes of my life on the path of doing more than another set of 45 minutes with this person. Yeah.
So I saw you and Rachel Hamilton at the Improv Fest doing your 2-chair switcheroo thing. And it was the night that you set down the chair and then you went out into the audience and it became this weird kind of...
Oh, it was really fun. A one-woman show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really liked that you weren't confined to the stage.
No.
You broke out and you went free. What's your thoughts on the whole fourth wall?
This is when I walk into a space, I've been doing this for so long that I don't care. And when I walk into a space, this is what I feel about it. Well, like right now, this is all mine. Everything is mine. It's all mine. That door is mine. The floor is mine. I know that somebody else pays the rent. It's all mine. And when everything is all mine, then I get to play with all mine. So whatever space I go into, it's mine. And like all the chairs are mine. Your clothes are mine. What's in your purse is mine. It's all fucking mine. So when I look at that and when I go, this is all mine. There's nothing that's stopping me because I'm supposed to be here. And the idea of I'm supposed to be here and the idea of I belong here, that is huge. To walk into a place and go, I fucking belong here, whatever it's going to be. And the parameters that I'm setting up are just suggestions. They're just suggestions. And I think the more any artist looks at things and goes, because a major, like a couple, I look at Thelonious Monk and the jazz that he does, and I mentioned it before, I think here, like Thelonious Monk says, I don't play the wrong note, I just justify the next one. And when you're living a life like that, anything and everything is fair game. You look at Pablo Picasso, and you look at, like, he can turn anything into any, he doesn't look and go, the frame is this and it has to live within that frame. He will take anything. And for me, I feel like the more that you look at the world as your, and be inspired by everything that you can be inspired by, and not to say that this is the venue, this is just a place that I'm in right now. And if I say that this is the stage ends here, well, I'm missing out on everybody's shape. I'm missing out on everybody's connection. I'm missing out on everybody's clothes, on the barometric pressure of the fucking room. Like, all that stuff is inspiring to me because I no longer see borders. My life, it's weird. It's really weird. It's weird. And as I spend so much time by myself, and I really love the time that I spend by myself. And this is what I do for a living. Someone somewhere put an ad in the paper that said, we're looking for Dave Razowsky for a job. And I'm like, I'm perfect for that. And I took that job, and this is my job. This is my job. And everybody has their own job. If you have a name, you have a job. If you have a name, you have a job. And your job is to be that. To live that. I don't give a fuck what you do for a living. If you are working at Applebee's, then then you got hired. If you're working at Applebee's and your name is whatever, Laura Esping, and you work at Applebee's, that's an ex-girlfriend of mine. If you work at Applebee's, she doesn't work at Applebee's. If your name is Laura Esping and you work at Applebee's, you are hired because of who you are, and so you get to be that person. And you get to be paid for that. And that's what I do. So I have a lot of time on my hands. Then I get to go, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to have an in-service meeting. How are we going to do that? We're going to go to a bar and have a vodka. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens.
So do you find the idea of this is all mine, that this is everything, here's my, branching out into your daily life?
Clearly.
Your non-improv?
Oh, clearly. Because it's not only is everything mine, but everyone's my friend. Everyone is my friend, and everyone wants to talk to me because I'm very interesting. and when I say I'm very interesting, what I mean is I'm very interested in you. So I will talk to you like, what's going on, and how are you? What's happening in your life? So I look at all that, and I just want to know who you are, and I want to know what's going on with you, because and not just because it might end up on stage, but it's also as an artist, and it's not just because I also do collage work, and I do other work as well, but I write a little bit, not much. But the more that I look at things and live in the world of abundance, the larger my heart becomes, because I'm taking all this stuff in. And everything for me is, it's fodder, but it's not fodder like, I'm going to use this later on in an improv scene. It's along the lines of, it's fodder to say, I am living in this world, and I am inspired by everything out there. Because the artist's job is to be inspired, is to look at it and go, I'm looking at this from my point of view. And if you block it off, so if we're here and there's a sound of a glass breaking, we'll say, in the other room, or someone slams a door. Now, you can look at that and you can go, someone slammed the door, that's noise. But I look at that and go, someone slammed a door, that's sound. If I say that's noise, then I want to put it in a box that says, don't touch this. But if I say it's sound, I'm inspired by that. So whatever is going to happen, that one would say, this is an impediment to me, or this is a problem for me, whatever that's going to be, I'm going to look at that and go, no, that's just what's happened. I was married for 14 years, and I talk about this a lot. I was married for 14 years. I really love my wife, but it just didn't work out. And I wouldn't trade a moment of that for a day at the beach. Well, first of all, I don't like going to the beach, but I wouldn't trade a moment of that, because that made me who I am right now. And not like because I was crying so much, but because it was like, oh, I understand what she was doing, and I understand what I was doing, and that's what happened. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. I don't know if it doesn't make perfect sense.
Talking to you. I'll see you all later at the party.
Can you talk just a little bit about, you mentioned collage work.
I do collage work about the year 2000 or something like that, maybe 99 or something. My wife, when I was married, she got involved with this thing called the Altar Book Club. And what it is you and a bunch of other people, say 7 people, we all go to a resale shop and we buy a book. And we take 6 pages of that book and we make art in that book. And then in a month, at the end of the month, I mail it to you, you mail it to someone else mails it, and then we put 6 pages of art in that book. And then the month we mail it to somebody else. So eventually, like in a year, our book comes back to us and we have 72 pages of art. And it's awesome. And my friend Al Rose, Tracy knows, my friend Al Rose said, why are you doing that? Why are you giving your art away? Do your own art. I'm like, shut up. So I bought this book, a used book, Who's Who in California. And I started to just put collage work together. And I have a desk and I've got hundreds and hundreds of clipped out pieces of art that I like, and I'll look at it and I'll put it here and that works and doesn't work. So I've got art that I put together. And what's great about that is it's about patience. It's about there's no outcome. I don't care if I sell it. But I gotta tell you, it's beautiful stuff. It's really, really beautiful stuff. And I have a show that's coming down, right, today's the last day, in Chicago, that's been up in Chicago for a year at the Kobe Cafe. And I sold a piece and I'm like, great. And that's all that matters. But I love it, and also, because it says to me, an artist is an artist. And just because you're doing improvisation or whatever the hell it is that you're doing, we think in different ways. And it's not like the banker couldn't think in that way, but the banker thinks that he can't think in that way. And I want to look at a banker and go, dude, clearly you are an artist as well. But that's the way I look at it. And everything is a canvas or a fodder for inspiration. But I'm inspired by so many things.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So switching gears.
Switch gears, dude.
I'm sure it could be a long topic, but what's the difference between tension and arguing on stage?
Oh, I see.
Tension and fighting.
The way that I was talking about this today in the class, because I taught a class today called Pro-Positive Choices. I teach that class. And the way that I look at it, the majority of work that you see on stage in improvisation is somebody arguing. And a big part of it has to do with 2 things. You fuck my wife or you owe me money. And that's what all scenes are about. You fuck my wife or you owe me money. Or you fuck my boyfriend and you owe me money. So 4 things. 2 of them are the same. And I look at that and I go, okay, that's fine, but that's not what life is about. Life is about just sitting here and me looking at you. So I feel like if you feel that, so an argument in a scene, an argument is a really quick way to get the audience involved. So let's fight. And I look at that and I think, well, if you want to fight with me, I'm not going to fight with you. If you want to go, you fuck my wife. Say you fuck my wife.
I fucked your wife.
Cool. Yeah. She's awesome. I bet she also gave you money. That's great. I have too much fucking money. I have too much fucking money. And you know what? She's a bundle of wanting to fuck all the time. So I'm glad you took her fuck knees off my hands. But most people aren't going to do that. They're going to get defensive about it. And I feel like the moment that you enter this sacred space of the theater, you have to check your ego at the door. Because this is about pressure, tension, and dynamics. The majority of improvisation, what happens is, when we're taught improvisation, we're taught a bunch of rules. And all those rules are get the who, the what, and the where at the beginning of the scene. And there's something called find the game of the scene. I'm not going to start with that. But there's also one is to find out, like at the center of every scene is conflict. And even, like a lot of teachers are going, we don't mean fighting. So I think, my thought is, if you don't mean fighting, then don't fucking say conflict. Because when I think of conflict, I think of the Israelis and the Palestinians, and I think about the troubles, you know, as a conflict. Like the Protestants and the Catholics in Belfast and Northern Ireland, Ulster. And I'm like, fuck all that. So at the center of every scene is not conflict. It's the same thing that happens with negative space when I talk about collages. It's pressure, tension, and dynamic. It's a dynamic. It's like, so I'm angry, and I'm angry and you're distracted. Great, we're pushing against each other. That's what we want to watch. So it's the artist's struggle against negative space. I'm angry and you're happy. Great, we're pushing against each other. I'm angry and you're distracted. Great, we're pushing against humiliated, whatever. We're pushing against each other. I'm angry and you're angry. You cannot have pressure against itself. If you walk into a scene and say, Jerry, you're late, I'm going to go, great. And in my mind, I'm going to say, oh, okay. The angry guy has been cast. You got the part of the angry guy. I can play any part but the angry guy. And it's so important because it's asking the actor to be mindful. And that's all that I'm asking you. Please be fucking mindful. You enter a scene. Are you entering a scene and saying, this is a bunch of shit that, I mean, you know what it's like. You enter a scene and you go, oh, okay, last week I had a shitty show. I have to have a good show tonight. Last week I had a good show. I hope I have a good show tonight. Last week Jerry was with me. Jerry was really great. I want Jerry to play with me again. Last week you did a scene with Jerry. He sucks. Fuck Jerry. I hope he doesn't want me to do a scene with him. Tony's in the audience. Tony's not in the audience. I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm not thirsty. I hate the name of my team. That's a big one. That always gets the biggest laugh. But you look at all that, and none of that fucking matters. All that matters is, I enter a scene, and you're seated like that. And I'm in response to it. Because really, I'm eager, as a director and a teacher and an improviser, an actor who improvises, I'm eager for you to respond. I'm not eager for you to talk. I want to teach you to be eager to respond. Because when you're eager to respond, you have to listen to me. When you're eager to talk, I fucking don't need to be here. You might as well be tapping on the mic and going, hey, how about that airline food? You don't get it again. Yeah. Right? Seinfeld, what show? That show's about nothing. Suddenly Day was 1994. So,
I like Seinfeld. So, how do you feel about silence on stage?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because all of that is about, again, pressure, tension, and dynamic. So, you enter a scene. I've done the hand puppets before. You enter a scene. It's like, hey, Tony, what's happening? Tony. I need to trust that you're hearing me. I am not going to push a scene. I think, maybe I've said this before, I probably have, but I don't know if I've said it to you. What's the strongest, most powerful punctuation mark? Sorry, we're keeping it up. I don't think I hear that.
I'm going to go with an ellipsis.
Yes, the ellipses is the most powerful punctuation mark because there's trust in that. Like you have to go, like here. Right? I had you while I was doing the ellipses. And I'm trusting, and you're trusting, that in that ellipsis something's happened. But the average improviser is going to want to fucking yammer the entire time. Like, shut up. But that yammering is your ego trying to make something happen without realizing that, shut up, something's already happening. And you know what's happening? This. That's what's happening.
How do you feel about things being funny?
What do you mean?
making funny scenes.
Oh.
The idea of doing a comedy show, basically.
I never think about funny. I just don't ever think about it. I'd like to hear the audience reaction, but I think I've mentioned this before. If I'm thinking I'm going to say something funny, and then I say it, and the audience doesn't laugh, this is what I think. I think in the moment that they're not laughing, they're thinking this. David's so good. Oh my God, I can't believe what a great guy he is. He's done so much. He worked with Carell. And he doesn't look 54. I believe he's single. That's what I'm thinking. Which is just as big a lie as if people don't laugh, they hate me. But that's a huge thing. Like, what are you doing with the silence? What are you, the actor, the artist, doing with that silence? Are you filling in the silence? Are you putting voices in the mouths of the people watching you? And if you are putting voices, and if you are putting text in the mouths of the people that are, if you're putting text in the silent mouths of the people that are watching you, what are you saying? What are you putting in there? Are you saying that you suck, or are you saying that that they love you? Because both of those are wrong. Because you have no idea what they're thinking. So for me, if the audience isn't laughing, I don't care. I mean, I don't care. I know they came to be entertained. And for me, all that I know is when you and I are on stage together, I am with you 100%. And if it ain't happening that night, well, that's part of what we do. You know, some nights it works and some nights it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, I have not had a bad show in 25 years. And you know who's the only person that thinks that? Me. But I get to not think that because I like me. I have decided I like me. I'm a fucking great person. And that's not to go, I'm the best person in the world. It's one of the lines of, I'm a human being. I hired me to be me. This is a job I have forever. And so I look at that and I go, you know, some nights, some days I'm going to be a great employee and some days I'm going to be just an okay employee. But when I'm on stage, I'm giving you 100%. And I'm giving you 100%, but because how do you not? How do you not? Because, you know, people say, oh, I could have done better. It's like, how the fuck do you could have done better? I don't know how you could have done better. You did what it is that you do. Leave yourself alone. So when the audience is laughing, it's great. When they're not laughing, it's great. If they're not laughing, you know, there's been shows that I've done where people haven't laughed, and I've walked away going, oh, that was horrible. And they went, that was awesome. I mean, it was like theater. It's like, great. So the moment that I hear that, I'm like, listen, I'm not in charge of anything. I'm not in charge of your opinion, because at the end of the day, Mike, what you think about me fucking doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and that's the greatest gift that you can give yourself. The realization that when anybody thinks about you, anybody, your wife, your mom, your priest, it fucking doesn't matter, because you get to live your life. I wish I had an opinion about it. Are you understand what I mean?
I do.
And the sooner that you get to that point, or when you get to that, you're going to get to that point. When you get to that point, you're not going to get to that point in this lifetime. But when you do, like suddenly your life becomes your art, and your art becomes your life, and you realize that I'm not here to suffer. I'm here to celebrate every fucking moment. If the moments are things like, oh, the test came back, and we got some bad news, or if the test came back and they got some good news, or somebody said, I really like when you did that. I was in Toronto the other day, and I was having, like I periodically have an existential challenge, and the existential challenge, just like anybody else does, is what the fuck am I doing here? What the fuck am I doing here? And I had one of those challenges, and I walked into this place called Lady Marmalade, whatever, on Queen Street, great place for breakfast. And I walked in and I sat down, and this woman comes up and she goes, are you David Razowsky? I'm like, yes I am. She goes, I just love your work. I'm like, oh my God. I started to cry. I started to cry because it's like, the fucking people are awesome people. And when you see someone that you love that you don't know, please tell them. When you see an artist that you like their work, please tell them. They need to know. Because this is not about the paycheck. It's about it's about the recognition that we get from being alive.
I don't want to be that guy who co-ops them, so I try to be efficient and just walk up and shake their hands.
Well, I
appreciate your work. And then
no, I get it. I was at M Cafe on Melrose in LA, and I'm sitting with my friend Tabby Smalls, and we're having, whatever, lunch, doesn't matter, what meal, doesn't matter. And I look and I go, oh, that's Tom York over there from Radiohead. And she goes, yeah, it is. I said, I love him. She goes, go talk to him. I'm like, I can't talk to him. And then I made a deal with her. I said, if he turns and looks at me and looks me in the eye, I'm going to talk to him. And of course he turned, looked me in the eye. I walked over and went, listen, I really love your work. Thank you so much. And I walked away and I sat down. And I felt like he needed to know. I didn't want to say to him, listen, there's some songs that you do that I wake up in the morning and it goes on and I dance naked in my bedroom. There, or the Fishes song, and I will dance like a motherfucker. You know, he doesn't even know that. He might, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All I know is I did that. Gonna be the DJ, I did that,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between, or was there ever a difference between like Chicago improv, New York improv, West Coast improv?
This is what happened. I love that I'm not saying yes or no. It's very politician of me.
You have to think of another question.
I know. I'm about to ask you some questions. I do this all the time. Remember, I have a podcast that I do. So this is what happens. I will play with anybody once, twice if I have a fun time. So for me, I look at people in New York. I'll say this: the people in New York, Toronto, a couple other cities, certainly San Francisco, and here. There's an actorness about it. And I love working with actors because that's my background as an actor, as opposed to improvisers or funny people. I think that in LA has the best teachers, aside from here. LA has the best teachers because all the great teachers from Chicago and New York come to LA. And the experience they have comes to LA. That being said, I love working with Jill Bernard, who lives in Minneapolis. She runs the huge theater up there. I love working with Rachel Hamilton, who lives here in the Bay Area. But I would say that the people in Chicago they're really great actors. There's an actor mentality. All improvisation is acting. And I think what ends up happening is if you want to be funny with me, I'm going to play with you once, and then I'm not going to play with you again. That's not to say that you don't have worth in this world. That's to say that you're not listening to me. There's a great quote, and I forgot who said it, but it's sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. And it's that idea of, I need to be curious. I need to be present with you. I get to be curious and take all this shit in, as opposed to my cleverness is like, find the game of the scene and all that shit, because we're not connecting in that way. So it has less to do with the geographic area as it does with the training. And it's less to do with the geographic area as it does with what's the vulnerability factor of the actor that I'm playing with. What trust do they have with me? Because I play with a lot of people who run schools and have television shows and have schools in different cities. And I'm done describing one person. And I will never play with that cocksucker again. I will fucking never play with that fucker again, because it's like, you didn't listen to me. You just didn't listen to me. And it doesn't matter where you are. It's like, you're not present with me. You need to be right, or you need to be funny. And I don't need that. I really, really don't need that. I don't need that.
I find that when I work with people here, and one of the things new people, I'll tell them not to be funny, and I say that people who seem drawn to this are kind of naturally funny anyway, so it's going to come out eventually.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you find that? Am I
No. Because I don't tend to teach or direct with a negative. Mm-hmm. So it's like, don't try to be funny, because if I tell you don't try to be something, you don't know what to work with. So if I say to you, be real, be truthful, be honest, then they get to be something. Because you can't be a don't. And so that's my only thing. But that, again, that's just me. An example of that would be so many directors will say to an actor, and I might have mentioned it here before, get out of your head. So that means you're just thinking too much. And when I hear a director say that, and that's all they say, it takes all I can do to just stay in my fucking chair and not jump at them and just fucking ram a chair on their head. I get so upset because it's like, you need to be sued for fucking improv malpractice. Shut the fuck up and finish that sentence. Finish that sentence. And I can just see me with a metal chair over there, like with my foot on their throat. So fucking finish that sentence. Because just to say, get out of your head, that's not enough. Because you are my guide, you are my guide, you are my sensei, you are my bodhisattva, you're my fucking, you are all these things. I know where not to go. Tell me where to go. So if you say get out of your head, where do I go, man? So it's like get out of your head and get into your heart. So that's what I say to people. Get out of your head and get into your, because just to say don't do that, because a line that I will never say on a stage is, I will never say, you know what would be funny if, like, I don't give a fuck about that. What I care about is, are you being truthful? Are you being honest in that moment? Because I can tell right away that you're not being honest. And when you work with me, and you start to bullshit, when you work with me and start to bullshit, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to say, what are you feeling right now? Because I am giving you absolute permission to unfold and furl, evolve as the artist, the human being that you are, that awesome spirit that you have right now, the voice that you have right now, because you are not here to bullshit, you are not here to work, you're here to evolve. And that's why I'm here with you right now. I am, the only thing I am here to do is to be the midwife to your voice. Because I'm going to look at you and I'm going to go, what the fuck do you want? What do you have to say? Because I'm going to sit back and go, you go, girl. You fucking go. You talk, you go, you unfold, unfurl. You do that right now. Because the people that I've worked with, again, I wish I was passionate about this. The people that I've worked with in the past, and coming from Second City is the greatest place because there is not like, you can't look at somebody and go, that's actor, but you can look at somebody and go, that's a UCB guy, or that's a groundling guy. You can look at that, but you can't tell the difference between an actor and a Second City person. And if you can, tell me what that is. Because I look at Belushi, I look at John Belushi, John Belushi, I look at John Belushi, and I look at him in Continental Divide, and it's like, you tell me that that's a Second City actor. I know it's a Second City actor because he's fucking doing great. You look at, what's his name? He wrote the book. He wrote a book. He won an Oscar for Middle Miss Sunshine.
Jim Kelly.
Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin. I was thinking AA. So Alan Arkin, you tell me, you look at him and go, that's Second City actor. What is it about him? He's an actor. He's a comedian. But it's not about being funny, it's about being honest and truthful and connected. I look at Carell and I go, okay, good. I have seen the guy that you're doing in Anchorman. I've seen that guy. But I also know the guy that is warm and connected and doesn't give a fuck about getting a laugh. Because you will never, ever hear me say, you know, it would be funny. It's a good answer, because really the answer, I mean for me it's a good answer, I do say so myself, but I also think that I need for you to not have, because I work with the Steppenwolf Theater Company, and I've worked with them, I teach for them, and if you don't know who they are, they're John Malkovich, Joan Allen, Laurie Metcalf, they just had one of their actors won a fucking MacArthur Award this year. But I work with them, and so when they hire me to teach improvisation. Excuse me. They hire me to teach improvisation, but without the yoke of the joke. And I don't mean yoke like the egg yolk. I mean like the yoke, like the mule train yoke. Without that. And the moment we let people know that they don't have to be funny, they suddenly become funny because they're not trying. because there's no such thing as trying. There's either doing or not doing. And when you try to be funny, you try to be clever, and your brain, and I've mentioned this before, if we're working through, when we're working through any art that just flows through you and suddenly, like, you're not even aware of what the fuck is going on. What's happening is you're aware of what's going on, but your brain isn't telling you stop. Your ego isn't getting involved in any of that. Your heart and your gut are going, fucking keep going and going and going and going. So when you're working with your heart and your gut and not letting your brain do anything but put it down on paper or glue shit down or whatever the fuck it's going to be, then we're really connected in that way. Because your brain is a liar and an asshole, and it wants to throw you the fuck off. It's the housing for your ego, and we've got to know when we engage with it, because we're not going to get rid of it. But what we can do is not engage it. Because the ego, I always see it as a little avatar outside of a door. Like, it's fucking right over there. It's right there. It's right there. And any door that I'm near, it's going to be near there, and it's going to be outside, and it's going to be smoking, and it's going to be low self-esteem, and it's going to be wearing my clothes that I fucking hated and wore anyway, and it's going to be me, like, not being able to go on a date with whoever the fuck it is, and it's like all those things, and I'm not going to engage with you, but if I do engage with you, with that person, that ego, I'm going to do it intentionally. Like, oh my God, I just broke up with a girl and how bad that is. Or, oh, you know, I don't have money to pay my blah, blah, blah. Of course I don't have nice things because I suck. So I'm going to live in that for a moment, and then I'm going to get the fuck away from that. Does that make sense?
I think the worst thing I've ever done on stage was in the middle of a scene somehow involving a hurricane or something, and I made a dumb joke about Twister and Girl Paxton. And I hated myself the instant it came out.
Every good improviser has that same thing. I remember that we did Cherry Coke in 1987. And I remember snorting Coke off the floor and saying, look, I'm snorting Cherry Coke. And then I was kicked off a Herald team. Charlotte went to me after, went, come here, and I'm like, yeah! And she went, I'm kicking you off the team. You used to be funny, you're not funny anymore. And she was right. And I interviewed her for my podcast, ADD Comedy with Dave Razowsky and Bully. I interviewed her a couple weeks ago, and she said, I talked to Pam Victor, who said that I kicked you off a team. And I said, yes, you did. And she went, I don't remember it. It's like, you did. And I'm so glad you did. It changed my life, Mike. It changed my life to be kicked off that team. Because I realized in that moment, this is not about being funny. And the people that are trying so hard to be funny or loved or whatever it's going to be, I look at them and I go, I know what you're doing, man. And you're going to get to the point where you're going to go, I don't have to work that hard anymore. Because we love you for who the fuck you are. And the sooner that you get to that point, and I can't force you to get to that point, the sooner you get to the point of going, I like me, not you like me, you like you. And you are comfortable with you. And to know that you aren't here to suffer or to work, you're here to unfold. And the universe wants you, and the universe is conspiring in favor of you. That's why you're here right now. And when I see here right now, what I mean is, I'm in your orbit. That's not to say Dave Razowsky's in your orbit. That's to say the creative forces are in your orbit because you, the universe, brought us together. Brought you together with your medium. Brought you together with your media. Brought you together with all these factors. Make sense?
Kind of going with the not being negative teaching, you know, don't be a don't.
Wait. What's another way to say that? Instead of not being negative.
Being positive.
Thank you so much. There's a quality to that, right? When you say not being negative, the word negative is in there.
True. So.
Or you can say not false. All right, keep going.
Can you talk a little bit about, because saying yes is the most important thing to do on stage and all that, but can you talk about saying yes while saying no?
Absolutely. I think what ends up happening is we being me and improv teachers, we're shorthanding shit. And when we shorthand shit, we're assuming, and because form follows function. And what's happening nowadays is you've got classes that have 16 and 20 people in these classes, and you have 3 hours, and people insist on taking a 20-minute break. Like, no, there is no break in my class. You want to pee, get the fuck out and pee. If you're really, really hungry, leave and come back and eat. But we're teaching 16 people or 20 people in a 2.5-hour, 3-hour class. And we're like, let's get 3 people up. How'd that go? Good, glad to hear it. So form follows function. So in that way, we're not giving people enough time, nor are we teachers explaining shit in ways other than, don't say no. So what we're not teaching people is this. You can negate the character, you can't negate the actor. So we're not taking the extra 10 fucking minutes to teach somebody that. So if I say to you, or if you say to me, Dr. Finster, I'm here for my test results, I'm going to go, I don't want to give them to you. Now, an improv teacher is going to, the only people that give a fuck about this are improv teachers. The improv teacher is going to go, negation, say yes! Right? And I'm like, no. So if you say to me, I'm not going to give you the test results, in that moment, we know who we are, don't we? And your intention, and you and I are right here. Because at that moment, I've negated your character. And that's okay. I don't mean your character like Mike's character. I mean the character that you're playing. Now, if you say to me, Dr. Finster, I'm here for my test results, and I say, I'm not Dr. Finster, well then that's fucked up. But we've got to teach people that.
Yes.
But we're also teaching a bunch of, so in that way, I am saying no to the character. If you say, honey, did you get the milk out of the car? And I go, no. An improv teacher is going to say yes! And I'm like, honey, did you get the milk out of the car? Yes. And scene. You know what I mean? But we're also teaching people, this is what I realized this year. We're teaching people to not ask questions. And lately I've been going, fuck that. Fuck all that and fuck that. What's the worst improv question?
What are you doing?
Great. Let's just say that. Okay, so we go, what are you doing? There's nothing in that question, right?
Yeah.
How about this? What are you doing? How about this? What are you doing? How about this? What are you doing? Now how about this? What are you doing? Which is kind of what you said. Right? This is what we have to teach people. We're teaching the wrong person. We're teaching the person not to ask questions. We have to teach the person not to answer the question. Because it's not a question. If you're on stage with me, you're not asking a question. You're delivering text. Right? It's not a question. It's text. So we've got to teach this person, don't answer the question. We've got to teach this person, when I say to you, what are you doing? What's the feeling that you get from that?
Well, I imagine I'm taking off my clothes.
Right. So if I go, what are you doing? What's your response to me? What are you doing?
Getting ready for bed.
You answer the question. Right? Ask me.
What are you doing?
What do you want me to do? You understand what I mean?
That list.
What's number one? And this is what I've been thinking about lists lately too, because improvisation is not about choices. It's about the compulsion, and any artist is going to go, there are no questions. You know, there isn't a right answer and a wrong answer. There's, this is what I'm doing. So lately I've been saying, if you want to have a list of choices of what you're going to do in response to what I'm doing, you're allowed one item. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So it's sort of like when I was in Turlock, California, teaching directing a show at California State University in Stanislaus. I was living in an apartment over there, and there's a Safeway, because of course they don't have a Trader Joe's. And I used to go to Trader Joe's for toilet paper. And Safeway, Trader Joe's has one brand of toilet paper. That's all. And it's like, cool, great. You go to Safeway, and it is literally an aisle of toilet paper. And I spent 20 minutes there going, I'm just saying, I'll say 10 minutes, even 10 minutes, of saying, quilted, double ply. It's like, what do I want? I don't want any choices. I want compulsion, and that's what I'm going to do. What do I compel you to do?
Buy the one thing.
Well, in that situation, certainly. Or to look at it and go, my mom bought scum tissue, so that's what I'm going to buy. It doesn't matter. But I will say this.
Yes.
Once I got divorced, I was going to buy the fucking brand of toilet paper I wanted.
I moved in with my brother after we had grown, and I always bought the cheap single-ply toilet paper.
Right.
It's just $1.
Right.
He made me throw it away and paid me for it.
It's a game changer. Like my mom will only buy that single ply. It's like, you know what? No. Here's an adult thing. Oh, too much information. And I'm done. No. Well, you gotta buy it. You fucking gotta buy the baby wipes. You guys.
They're becoming more mainstream.
You know what? I'm all for it. Game changer. Game changer. Game changer. Game changer. What? Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
So, you said you had questions.
Yeah. I have questions.
Do you want to ask it?
No. Well, what I realized, like, because I have this podcast, and I've been thinking about my podcast lately, because we're coming on a year of it, and we have 200,000 downloads. So I don't really know what that means in the grand scheme of things. All that I know is no one except for Mark Maron and what's that douchebag's name, and Corolla, are making money. And Nerdist guy, what's his name?
Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, Chris. That's great. I like it. So nobody's making money. But what I realize is that when we have a conversation, it's going to go wherever it's going to go. And anybody can say, well, my podcast is about this. And then when you meet with me, it's like, no, it's not anymore. It's not going to be about that. We can have this discussion. So I love that you asked me so many questions. I really, how long have you been doing this?
Asking questions?
No, asking questions. Improv.
I've been at Pan for 2 years, I think.
That wasn't my question.
5
5
years.
years? 5 years. From where did you come?
I started doing it in high school.
Where's that? Around here?
Petaluma.
I don't know what that means. Petaluma.
Around here.
I said Petaluma. For me, I thought you said Petalman. I'm like, oh, Petaluma. But that's not what you said.
That's
you said
not
Petaluma. Did they teach classes in improvisation there?
It was part of acting classes.
In high school? Do you have a degree?
No.
Did you start?
Do what?
Did you start to get a degree and just didn't finish
You mean, I got a high school degree.
No, you have a college degree. You have a college degree. Did you ever think about that?
No, I've taken 2 half semesters of a creative writing classes. 2 different junior colleges.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not a big school person.
Good. You feel okay about it?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't like doing schoolwork.
There was a Rolling Stone article about student loans. Did you read it? Have you heard about it? Anybody see it? It's a goddamn nightmare.
My brother went to UC Santa Barbara for marine biology. He only went for 3 years. He ended up dropping out because he didn't want to study brine shrimp or be a TA, which are apparently the 2 things you can do with marine biology. And he dropped out in 1999, 2000, right around there. He finally paid off his student loan bills in 2007.
It doesn't matter. I mean, from him, he's lucky. This class that I taught today, I said, oh, by the way, I just read this article because I just read it. And who owes student loans? And 3 guys put their hand up, and I went, how much do you owe? He said, I will pay it off when I'm 60. I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 34. And you know what? It doesn't have to do with the banks. It's got to do with the universities, which are charging an exorbitant amount of money. You can get a master's degree in Norway for the equivalent of 400 euros, which is like $600. For free. Stupid country we live in. You want a gun, motherfucker, you got that. I'm sorry.
Preach.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Did you have a question? Anybody have a question?
I got a question.
You got, yes.
First question. I really like organic improv. I love this idea.
That's a term?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
term. That I'm projecting onto what you do or what you talk about doing.
I see.
Sand structure. And even that, I like long form improv that has some structure, but I worry about the audience. I feel like a lot of times that at the highest level, that stuff is amazing and I think it's appreciated by anybody. But I see a lot of stuff that I feel like I get this because I know improv. I get what's happening and why this and what's going on, and I'm appreciating it as entertainment because I know what they're trying to do. Do you have any particular thoughts on that? Like, is that something you concern yourself with? Like,
No, it's nothing I can concern myself with.
Right, I know that from what you said earlier.
Well, but I mean, no. This is what I feel. I feel like when I'm with a group of people that I'm consorting with, and we're really on a roll and we're hearing each other and we're having fun with each other. People are going to want to be in orbit of that. They're going to want to witness that. And the more I think about the audience, and it goes back to Mike's question about getting a suggestion, I've been doing this for long enough to know, and also watching it for enough times, to be able to go, the people that I love watching, they don't care about me at all. They only care about each other and paying attention to each other. Not to the detriment of the house, but I am watching something. I am a voyeur watching these people up there. So the moment that because if I'm on stage, I don't know what you're thinking in the audience. I don't know what you're thinking. And I'm not going to think what it is that you're thinking because my thinking of what it is that you're thinking is not going to be right. You know, again, you could be looking at me and silent, and I could judge you of going, he fucking hates me, but you could be going, I wonder what he looks like in a Speedo. You know, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like in that way, going, I don't know what you're thinking. All that I know is when Mike and I are on stage, I am focused on this guy, and I'm focused on him 100%. So we talk about the organic improv. It's really about you sitting out there and me not telling you what to feel, but allowing you to figure it out as I figure it out. Do you understand what I mean?
Sure. No, sure.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of improvisation, I will watch somebody come out there, and I've used this as an example before. You know, somebody will come out and go, I really know what the audience is going to want. Hey everybody, Chicken Man is coming! The Chicken Man is coming! And I'll go, what the fuck is wrong with you? As opposed to this, which is so much about trust. It's like this. Hey everybody. Chicken Man is coming. Chicken Man is coming. You know what I mean? Like in that way, I'm not forcing you to think anything. I'm just saying I'm going to fucking be right here with that. Right?
Yes. Me, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could tell me about your experiences of what you're seeing in the industry of improv coming more into the mainstream in scripted work. You're probably getting more of a demand, I would think, now.
I'm so not in the industry.
Really?
I'm so far out of the industry. I don't have any industry. Like people go, what can I see you on? It's like, maybe on YouTube.
Well, I'm from what I'm gathering from my friends or people that I know that are working down in LA and whatnot, the TV shows, movies, whatnot, they're relying more on improv for their script than they are just the script now.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you're seeing that.
Yes, I am. What I'm watching is people are realizing that improvisation is a great way to create scripts. It's not a great way to create content for television because we're not at that point yet. We we might get there, we might never get there. But I know for me, the people that are writing the shows now, I look at somebody like Kay Cannon, who was staffed on Tina's show, 30 Rock. I look at Tina. I look at, well, certainly Colbert and all those people. They are creating material through improvisation. I know that Colbert's got 3 or 4 Second City people, or 2 or 3 Second City people on his staff. So I think that improvisation in that way, in terms of writing, is great. I'm about to teach next, what year is this? 2014, that's next year, right?
Yeah.
To teach a sketch writing class for California State University in Monterey Bay. It's a great program if you have an opportunity to do that, it's great. And we're teaching a sketch writing class over there. And it's so exciting because right now it's a very different world in terms of writing for sketches. And you've got shows like Key and Peele. Key and Peele? Yes, Key and Peele. Which is great, and you've got a bunch of Second City people who have written on that, but you also have Second City, I'm sorry, I've got an improvised Second City. Jordan wasn't on it, but Jordan was in Second City, but certainly Keegan was. You've got improvisers who are now in sketch who know how to and will staff with improvisers.
Speaking of 30 Rock, from what you might know of it, how much of that show do you think was improv?
None.
Yeah. It's all pretty...
It's all straightforward. It's all very, very little because it's all scripted.
Yeah.
But the people that are writing it are improvisers. That and then that. Yes.
I'm wondering, in terms of your reference to Buddhism, like, do you feel that, like a daily meditation practice or some sort of, you know, getting in touch with your heart and your gut, is a value in terms of acting, or like, do you have your own practice, or where have you gone with that in terms of Buddhism and practicing and being an actor and an improviser?
I used to meditate a lot. I would meditate a lot. I would meditate 20 minutes a day or whatever that would be. And then what I discovered was I would be driving my car and I'd be meditating while I'm driving my car. And I'd be on stage and I'd be meditating. And what does that mean? That means that things would come to me, I wouldn't become attached to them and let them pass through me. I'd be aware of them and I'd be engaged in that which I've chosen to be engaged with. I wouldn't engage myself with other things that aren't gratifying or fulfilling or fulfill my soul. Does that make sense?
You'd just be in the moment.
I would clearly be in the moment. Now that doesn't mean everything comes to me and nothing matters. What that means is I am mindful of that which I've engaged with, and I am mindful of that which I don't engage. Like something will come to me, I'm like, I'm not interested in that. But that I'm interested in. And if you and I, when you and I are in a scene, and you're saying this, and then suddenly you say something that moves my soul, I'm going to go to that because there's this concept, that happened, and I get to jump on that. Does that make sense? So, you know, I'm not lighting candles and ringing bells and doing that. But I am always mindful of, I am aware of when I'm aware, and I'm also aware of when I'm not aware, which means I'm aware. When I'm aware that when I'm aware, I'm aware. When I'm aware that I'm not aware, I get to be aware that I'm not aware, which means that I'm aware.
But sometimes you're just not aware, like we all are.
And when I'm not aware, I get to step back and go, oh my God, I was just not aware. How awesome was that? And that's what I'm talking about. Like those moments that I'm not aware, and then after those moments, I look at it and I go, oh my God, I was not aware in that moment. How awesome is it? Because when I'm not aware, that's just as important.
Right, you're not putting a label on it.
No, what I'm doing in that moment is going, that's hilarious. I have no idea how I got to this place. I was driving my car, I was out of my, and now I'm at the store. What the fuck happened between all those? I remember a song playing, and I think there was a red light. But I love the opportunity for me to say, I am present, I am not present, I am present of being not present. Because again, I don't attach, I so play with the idea of, I don't play with the idea of, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad.
But it's an exercise, isn't it, though, in a way?
It is, I call it a practice. You know, it's a practice, because everything's a practice. Is it an exercise? No, but I don't look at it as an exercise, but if you want to call it that, that's great. I call it a practice. Because when I call it a practice, everything's a practice. there is no final performance. You know, it's not like, I am done practicing. I love it, and I get to play with it all the time. So when I find my ire up, I look and I go, I was just ired. Isn't that awesome? I was just ired, and now I'm aware of being ired. And when I'm aware of my ire and being in ire, it dilutes my ire, and then I get to go, that's ridiculous. I get to be something else now, whatever that is right then. Hungry, probably wanting a drink. Shirley?
My question is actually kind of inspired from what you had asked, a little bit different. So in the non-performance context, I think when you were here last time I asked a question in the hallway, kind of seeing that improv is now being introduced, or has been introduced through applied improvisation, and part of me sees this and goes, this is exciting, and then I think like, is this one of those flavor of the month leadership team building things that are going on? And I guess I'm just wondering what your thought is about this.
Applied improvisation?
Yeah, applied improvisation, and there's like this, PhD research papers that are coming out left and right, and I think beyond is it Pamela Myers who has a book on play space? Like, yeah, so it's like out there now.
I have no problem with the flavor of the month. It's great.
Okay. Thank you.
I think, seriously,
Yeah.
I feel like if that's what it is right now, that's great. I'm going to take what it is and throw it away. I got a podcast, people are listening to it, then they're not listening to it. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. What really matters to me is, are you present in that moment? If you're present for a moment, that's great. Because I really believe that the moment that, I really believe that when you are able to digest the improvisation, you can't let it go. You might move on, but it's still part of your life.
So what about within the context of it being used to like help shape cultural organization?
I love it. I don't see how that's a negative at all. I don't see it at all as a negative. I think, I don't know how that could be a negative, like making people think. I'm sorry, because they're not making anybody do anything, but it's exposing people to what it means to be here right now. And exposing people to listening, on a deep level listening, to remove their ego, to know that their personality is not allowed in the creative room. When I say that, what I mean is the fact that you were, when you were 9, your teacher went, no, 4 and 4 is not 12. And it hurt you, like, go fuck yourself. It's not allowed in the room. But you understand what I mean? Like, to be in that moment, with that moment, and go, here we are. You want to start? You can start now. You want a renaissance? How about now? You want a renaissance? How about now? You want an epiphany? All that you need to do to get an epiphany is to say, I'm going to have an epiphany. And that's it. The moment that I said, I'm going to lose 15 pounds, I was already on the path of losing 15 pounds. Did I lose 15 pounds right away? Nope. Took me a little while longer. But it's like, I'm having an epiphany right now. That. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hi, I recently interviewed Rachel Hamilton for an article I was writing on
God,
fear
is she a
and failure.
bitch?
Yes, I came through the article. I asked her questions about fear and failure because it's
what?
Fear and failure.
Yes.
As two elements within the sort of creative arts professions, is something that has elements that have to be negotiated. And I was wondering if you could speak to that, because she had a lot to say about fear as a compass, as a guide to interesting places, and also improv and failure as something that helped develop courage and instinct for her doing her craft. And I was wondering if you could speak about those two elements with regards to your work.
For me, I feel like there's no such thing as failure.
I thought you would say.
If you are in my class and I tell you what we're going to do right now is count to 9, and we're just going to count to 9, and you count to 12, and I'm thinking, great, you did not do your getting it wrong told us was perfect to show us why it works. The worst thing that you can do is not do it. When I ask an actor, like, what were you thinking during that thing? And they went, I don't know. My thought is, that's your fear saying that you don't know. And I'm going to pull out of you that you do know. And what's great is, and it goes back to the Buddhism thing, fear, and this is what I realized just recently. I realized the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Like that statement, fucking totally makes sense to me right now. Because what I feel that is the only thing we have to fear is the word fear, and us putting fear to that word fear, because there is no such thing as fear. And I'll give you an example. I'm on an airplane, and I feel turbulence, and I'm thinking, we're going down, and I fly a lot. And then I go, we're going down, and this is what I think. I wonder what that's going to be like. You know, I go in, I don't know if you can tell, I got this white spot up here. That was, anybody ever have, what's it called? Mons, it's pre-cancer. And so they'll go in and they'll dig in your head, and then they'll do a biopsy right there. And then if they find anything, they'll keep digging until they find something, or until they can hit skull. And I was sitting there going, they're going to find it, they're not going to find it, there's nothing fucking I can do about it. When you're fearful, be fearful. But realize that's going to go away. And I can't remember the last time I was scared to be on stage. Because there's no mistakes. It's a practice. It's a practice. If you're scared, great, be scared. But know that you're being scared doesn't change anything. And if you're going to be scared, be scared. And if you're going to be worried, know that worrying, all that worrying is rehearsing for something that you hope doesn't happen. And that's all that is. What am I scared of? I don't know what I'm scared of. It's not to say that I'm fearless, it's just to go, right now if you go, what are you scared of? I'm like, I can't think about it, I don't know what that is.
Now, did you come to that state after years of development, or is that sort of already been part of your personality?
No, years of development, you know, reading books and realizing, you know, to be up on stage and things, and also to know that when I'm improvising, you know, very few things scare me. But it did take some time. Like, you know, right now I think about how much confidence I have. I think I have a lot of confidence. And how did that happen? It happened because I look at stuff and I'm like, you know, I have a choice of being scared of something or going, what? We're doing this. And it also has to do with, I'm not alone in this world. Because when you're scared, you're like, this is happening to me. No, it's happening to everybody. Or it's not happening to you. I walk into a Safeway. They have Safeways here, right? I walk into a Safeway. I am alone in a Safeway until the lights go out. And then we're all together in the dark. How awesome is that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I'm never alone. Ever. Ever alone. And when you realize that you're never alone, oh, the world just becomes more comfortable. And it's also like, it just becomes like, I'm going to be protected. I'm going to fucking be taken care of.
Well, actually, that leads me quite nicely to that question. What I wanted to ask was, you talked about this curiosity and this being inspired by everything. How do you deal with that? And are you ever overwhelmed by that feeling? No, because just because I notice it doesn't mean I have to engage with it. That foot just moved. He laughed. That foot just moved. She moved over there. That foot just moved. He's in duration. He laughed. She moved her head. A hand went up. Do you understand? I'm noticing all those things. He moved. She moved. I'm noticing all those things, but I'm engaging in one thing. She moved. That foot went down. Does that make sense? The great thing is to notice all those things. You just put your hand in your face. You just did that again. The great thing is I get to engage in that which compels me. The hand moved over there. Her head changed. He moved over. Fucking can do that all day. You laugh when you're sitting up. Your hand went away. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I'm engaging in what I decide to engage in. She just moved. She's wearing a red shirt. Right? Does that make sense? And here's the thing. Notice that shit, but also notice what you hold on to and what you engage in and what you don't engage in. And know that you're in charge of all that. Because I'll have students say to me, yeah, that's easy for you because you haven't had blah, 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 history, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? Fuck your story. Because your story has nothing to do with me.
So when you talk about having 16 people in my class, I don't look at them and have to know what your resumes are, because I'm not looking at your story. I'm looking at who you are in that moment with me at that moment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And when I see a bartender, I'm looking at them and I'm not seeing them as a bartender. I'm seeing them as a human who's at a bar right now with me. I think I've told this story before. I was at a party. Do I have a second?
Oh, yes.
I was at a party in LA, and a guy comes up to me and goes, I might have told this story. He goes, Dave, how are you? And I'm like, fine. I had no idea who you are. Who are you? Please tell me who you are. And, well, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, great. Right, I haven't. Please tell me when I saw you last. It's like, how's your wife? How's Katie? I was married at the time. I'm like, fuck. He knows Katie. Where, how does what? And I noticed, he's great. I see that he's a wedding ring. How's your wife? Great, great. Oh my God, Nia's party was awesome. Like, Nia's party. I saw you at Nia's party. Yes, of course. And I said, yeah, that was a really fun party. He goes, what's happening? He goes, I'm nervous. The Groundlings asked me to work with them. And I'm thinking, I think he's on a TV show. No. I think he's on a TV show. And I said, you're on a TV show. What, you shouldn't be nervous. And he goes, it's different. And I said, yeah, it's different. And I said, what TV show, y'all? He said, Will and Grace. I'm like, right. What part do you play? And he said, Will. Now, I could have slinked away and gone, what an asshat I am. Or I could go, well, that happened. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that you're deciding that you're going to engage in? And when I look at that, again, I'm going to that going, that's not a fucked up story. That's an awesome thing that happened to me. Because every bad thing that happens to me is not a bad thing that happens to me. It's something that happens to me. I got a lot of those. So whenever things fuck up, I'm like, nothing fucked up. That's exactly what was supposed to happen. And then I celebrate it. And then you celebrate it. And then you and I are together, we're hanging out. It's like, that happened to me. And you're not hanging out with somebody who's like, what the fuck is wrong? How come my life is... Because nobody wants to hang out with that person. Does that make sense? There's a million... Yes?
I heard a rumor that you're considering moving to the Bay Area.
That's not true anymore. I broke up with my girlfriend.
We got a lot of great girlfriends here.
Yeah, I know. I know. You know what the problem is? The problem is it's as if no women live in LA. But I know they do. But the last girlfriend that I had lived in Modesto. And what the fuck? It's really far away. I love it up here. I really love it up here. I love it up here. I do. It's really great. Yeah, I want to. I know, I'd like to be here too.
So everyone go out
Wait.
with all of your single women.
Right. And have them move to LA. Yes.
Yes. So I'm really curious. Take me down the path. What is the first thing that you say to a beginning improv class? What is the first thing that you say that's about improv?
Okay, that's great. That's an awesome question. Because it doesn't matter if it's an improv class, a new class, or an old class. What matters is because I come into a lot of places. And the first thing that I say to everybody is this. I need you to tell me who I am. That's what I need. And I don't need for you to tell me what my business card is. I need for you to be in response to me right now. To know that the scene starts the minute that you look at me. The scene does not start before that. And anything that you bring to the scene that isn't just pure awareness, alertness, mindfulness, presentness is unnecessary. Because really at the end of the day, I need for you to be here and I need for you to see me. Because if you look at me right now and I do this, and you say stop laughing, I'm thinking, I'm fucking not laughing. But how many times have you been in a scene where somebody brings in, hey Jerry, so glad that you came down with me to Pamplona and the running of the bulls. I know that your wife is now an astronaut and that she has a gun and only one leg, and your dog is now like living with a horse, but I need for you to help me with my hangnail. And I'm going, shut the fuck up, none of that fucking matters. Look at me right now and tell me what you're feeling right now. And this is the big thing. Be here now. Be here now. Just be here. And be here now. And be here now with me. I need for you to be here now with me. It's crazy. Last question.
Do you demonstrate some improv?
Would I demonstrate? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Would
Okay,
you demonstrate
sure.
some improv?
Sure. Would you sit over there? Yes. You don't have to tighten your pants. Okay, this is what I need for you to do. I want you to sit there. And what I'm going to do, how are you?
Fine. Nice to meet you. My name is Tom Hill. Come on.
Tom, you look familiar to me. I don't know why.
Uh-oh. It's probably in the post office. $5,000 reward.
You know what you do? Make that the last joke. Okay, this is what I need, Tom. I need for you to be here with me and to know that this is not about being funny. Do you understand?
Right.
Okay. So, and I want you to know that the scene is going to begin the moment that I give you the gift of this. I'm going to turn around and I want you to just sit in a different shape. And when I say that, I don't mean that I want you to go. I don't want you to make anything happen. So I want you to change your shape, but then make nothing happen. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? And I'm going to enter the scene, and I'm going to give you a gift, and I just want you to be in reaction. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, good. Would you tell me when his shape has changed? Will do. And I need for you to be in duration of that change.
Yes.
You asked me here, what do you want?
I want to know who you really are.
Don't change your shape.
I want to know who you really are.
You hired me to bring the car around. I'm the delivery guy.
You know, I just don't understand. This has been going on for like months and months. You just deliver the pizza, but you know, I'm sort of tired of it. I'm tired of you delivering it. It's always the same thing. You're always 10 minutes late. You always have excuses. I mean, what's going on anyway?
It's the first time you've ever really talked to me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you know, it's sort of like it's like the dam burst. You know, I mean, it's like you have that moment. You said, you know, I've been wanting to tell you for so long, and you know, today it just sounded like, you know, I had to do it.
I understand. I just want to tell you how grateful I am that you're finally talking to me, because everybody says, Mr. Reynolds will never talk to you, and you're talking to me right now.
And your feelings are not hurt.
No, I feel honored. And the rest of the guys are going, Reynolds wants to talk to you. I'm like, fucking Reynolds wants to talk to me. That's crazy. And here you are talking as if we're friends.
Well, I was reticent to say that to you. I mean, it's taken a lot.
You're Mr. Reynolds. You own the company. For you to be reticent, everybody looks at you and they're counting on you to really be their guy and to be in charge of this company. This is a Fortune 500 company, Mr. Reynolds. I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but here's another thing. I couldn't get the pepperoni.
See, there's another excuse. But you know what?
Wait.
Stop making excuses.
I will. I didn't want you to have pepperoni because I'm concerned about your health.
No one's ever said that before.
I can't believe it. Everybody loves you, don't they?
No, they don't. No, they don't. You're the only one that says, dares.
Let's go camping. Thank you very much. You really surrendered. I love that you did. And did you see what happened the moment that you, oh, Jesus, Tom, the moment that you didn't want it to make a joke? Do you see how easy that came to you?
Yeah.
Because no longer was the pressure there for you to do anything other than to be with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told you who you were, and then you told me who I was, because you said the excuses thing, and I didn't fight it, did I?
Yeah, yeah.
I said, you're right.
Yeah, you could have got defensive. You didn't.
I didn't.
You didn't, yeah.
Because if I have to get defensive, and I want to have an argument,
You
I
would
gotta...
put a wall between.
That's true, and also, if I want to have an argument with you, I gotta figure out what to have an argument about. And I don't want to.
Yeah, I couldn't fight you.
No. Love in my world. Great. That was really good. What a great question. Right, Mike?
That was awesome.
Good. Let's be done.
Tell us what your,
okay.
what your podcast is.
Okay, I do a podcast called ADD Comedy with Dave Razowsky. It's essentially what we're talking about. It's what we've been talking about. It's about mindfulness, presentness, but it's also about the journey that you're on and the idea that you think your life is going to be this, but it's not. And the people that I have out on that show have accepted that. A lot of people have accepted that. The first person that I interviewed with was named Tom Dreesen. And Tom is a stand-up comedian. And he was the opening act for this guy, for 14 years, this guy named Frank Sinatra. and Tom was just talking about, I thought my life was like this, and it's gonna be this. And I talked about, and I think I mentioned, I've been talking so much. Oh, I mentioned earlier, I had a podcast interview earlier. Mo Collins, who is on Mad TV, and she's just great. She's on Parks and Rec. Like the energy that she has, and how she divorced her husband, and her husband wanted to take the house away, and she's like, "Fuck you! This is my house. Our son is going to live in this house." And I'm like, wow, the ballsiness of all that. So it's really about people having confidence and people also surrendering, letting go to that which their life is leading toward. So
can they find it on the internet?
it's impossible. I don't know if any of you has internet access. It's available on iTunes. It's available on Instacast. It's available. You can just get it if you Google Dave Razowsky. It's there. We're going on our 90th interview. I talked to Carell this week, and he said anytime we want to get together, so he's probably going to be our 100th interview. I'm so excited about that. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to look at my friends and to go, you look at all the stuff that you guys are doing. And to know this, that the idea that all these, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Well,
thank you. What do you got, Mike? What's happening?
Auditions.
Right.
23rd and 24th. You can come do something like what you saw.
What Tom just did.
And we got all sorts of other stuff going on. There's a show tomorrow.
What's that? You can't just say there's a show tomorrow.
It is a combined Awkward Face, Liquid Mind show. I call it Liquid Face.
Awkward Mind. Awkward Mind's good too, right?
It is.
Isn't that the other side of that?
Yeah, good.
All right, good.
It's not as fun as Liquid Face.
No, it's not.
It's good though, I like it.
That's my show.
Well, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Yay.
Strike.
Oh, you're welcome so much for the boot. Thank you, everybody. That was really good. Thank you so much.